Morning.
Morning.
Nice day out. You ought to take advantage of it. Pretty soon the leaves are going to be all brown and ugly.
You think I'm gonna stay inside?
You know, I came down this morning. I thought I'd see a big banner stretched across the living room saying, "Farewell, Steve. Good luck on your next job."
Why would you expect that?
Well, last night you seemed to think that we had rounded up and got rid of all these assassins. So I thought the best thing to do is to get rid of me.
Are you that anxious to leave?
Well, I do seem to be a bit of excess baggage.
I still need you, Steve. I don't want you to leave.
Paige, no one's trying to hurt you anymore.
I know my life is still in danger.
Paige, you've had a lot of pressure on you for a long time. It's going to take a while before you can feel completely secure.
I am not imagining any danger. It's real. I know that there's someone trying to kill me. There's one more member of the gang who won't stop till he sees me dead. So that makes for one more assassination
Now,
attempt.
how do you know that?
I just know it, that's all.
Oh, I see. Did you just remember another name suddenly?
Look, I am telling you, I still need a bodyguard. Is that enough?
Paige, I'm not going to follow you around protecting you from shadows. Now, how the hell do you know there's somebody else out there still trying to hurt you?
Well, if you must know, Tobias told me.
So, you've been in touch with Tobias, huh? Tell me, how did he contact you? Telephone, or did he send another one of his henchmen out like Jed?
He told me himself, and he wasn't lying.
Oh, no, of course not. Tobias is only a swindler, a gun runner, accessory to murder. Lying might be just a little bit too much for him.
You're just gonna have to take my word for it, Steve. Now, I thought I was safe, too.
Paige, 4 people have died. Jed is in intensive care, and the 3 men you fingered for Logan Swift are somewhere in South America hiding from the police.
Well, there's another one. I didn't even know he existed until Toby told me.
All right. Then tell me about him.
His name is Zach.
Zach what?
I don't know his last name, and I can't give you a full description. He's kind of tall. He's got dark brown hair. He's about 26 or 27, and he's been spotted in Monticello.
According to Tobias.
Well, don't you believe me?
No, I don't believe Tobias. Paige, the police are aware that your friend is in the vicinity. Now, why shouldn't he lie and throw them off his track?
Because he is trying to keep me safe.
All right. How did you make contact with him?
That's not important. I just did.
I mean, was it over the phone, or did you meet him in person?
I think we should concentrate on Zach.
Paige, during the past week, you have only been in this house, at the hospital, with me, visiting Calvin, and the Unicorn when Brian took you down there to pick up your mother.
I just don't want to discuss this anymore.
Paige, you can't go on protecting Tobias. Now, he's a fugitive from justice. Look, if Logan finds out you're withholding information, you could be indicted for aiding a wanted criminal.
Toby is not a criminal.
I see. Well, we'll just leave that up to the courts.
Look, he is my friend. Look what he did for Louise. Look, he is trying to help me. If he was trying to hurt me, why would he warn me against Zach?
I just don't trust him.
I know. Will you stay?
Yes, of course I'll stay as long as you need me. You know that.
That pounding on my door.
May I come in?
Oh, anything, if you'll just stop the noise.
All right, how are we feeling this morning?
We feel as if we wished we were dead. Maybe we are.
Oh, I can assure you, you're alive. Alive and hungover.
I know. A little bird was singing on my windowsill. Sounded like a bull elephant.
Really tied one on last night, didn't you?
Oh, I'm very ashamed of myself, Owen. I really am.
You usually are, darling. And I know that you think that you had a real good reason for being drunk last night, too.
Well, it did hurt me what you said about nobody wanting to see a Nola Patterson movie anymore.
I didn't mean it the way it sounded.
Of course you did, Owen. It's what you think, what everyone thinks. And I suppose you're right. That's what really hurt, hearing the truth.
Nola, you didn't hear the whole conversation. I mean, what I meant was, who wants to see Nola Patterson in a movie like that? I mean, what is it, Mansion of the Damned?
Well, why not, if it's good enough?
Nola, it is a grade B horror flick. Now, you know that. I mean, that's all there is to it. I don't care what Eddie says about quality. That picture is what it is.
But if it were done well, Owen...
You haven't really read the script, have you?
I skimmed it just to see what the leading character was all about.
Right, well, I want you to read it again, okay? I want you to read it thoroughly, all right? Now, look, Nola, I want you to work again. And you know that. And I agree with Eddie that that'd be the best thing for you. And I still think you're an actress, and a damn good one, too.
No, Owen. If I were an actress, I'd be acting. Right now, I'm just a woman who lies around all day thinking up ways to obliterate the hours. And you know my favorite way.
Yes, I know. Well, guess this picture isn't really hopeless. I mean, there are some interesting things about it, you know. I don't mean the supernatural nonsense, but the human emotions, the rage that woman feels. I mean, if that could be dramatized more.
We could do that, Owen. We could show how deeply she feels about losing her lover.
Yeah, but the only way we're going to sell this thing is from the exploitation angle. You know, all those gory special effects that the audiences seem to love so much these days.
Well, of course, you know much more about those things than I do.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you another thing. We are not going back to Hollywood to film this thing. Now, there must be some way that we can produce this thing locally.
Oh, darling, why not? An Owen Madison production filmed entirely in Monticello. You could make this provincial paradise into the film capital of the Midwest.
Listen, you can make films anywhere as long as you have the facilities and the people.
Owen, are you serious? You really will consider it?
Well, I'll talk it over with Eddie again. And if it's feasible, well, maybe we can take a chance on it.
Well, if I may say so, I think that was the worst breakfast we've ever had since we've been married.
I thought the French toast was fine.
I wasn't talking about the food, Draper, and you know it. I feel like a couple from Citizen Kane sitting at opposite ends of the table having absolutely nothing to say to one another.
I just wanted to read the newspaper this morning.
And you completely ignored any attempt I made at conversation.
I wasn't in a very talkative mood.
Draper, do you intend on giving me this every morning? Do you intend on giving me the silent treatment at dinner, too? I know, maybe I should get a parakeet or some kind of bird, teach him how to say good morning, April, and good night, April, since I'm not going to be hearing it from you.
April, you're being ridiculous.
Draper, we are husband and wife, and communication is very important in a marriage.
I have nothing to say.
But just because you don't feel like talking doesn't mean there isn't anything on your mind.
You know what's on my mind.
Well? Damn that Mrs. Fenner.
Now, don't blame the real estate lady, April. The only reason she came here was to help us turn a profit on this house. Now, I think you're missing the point. If you and Margot hadn't lied to me about this, none of it would have happened.
Draper, and I told you Margot was just trying to be generous. There is no crime in that.
I always had trouble believing this place cost $65,000. Mrs. Fenner offered me $125,000. I knew something was wrong.
Draper, Margot was only trying to help us. We both have the pleasure of living in this house.
This is not my home. With what the bank owns and with what Margot put into it, my contribution is completely insignificant.
Oh, Draper, I'm really sorry you feel that way. Because this is our home.
Damn Brooks. He was unethical telling us this place cost only $65,000.
Draper, don't blame it on Mr. Brooks. He had nothing to do with it. Margot knew you wouldn't accept a gift like this.
And you knew it too, April. Well, that's what hurts me. You knew how I'd feel about this, yet you went right ahead and conspired with Margot behind my back.
Draper, look, I suppose I did get carried away in the thought of owning our own home. Draper, I admit that I made a mistake.
I'm going to pay her back, April. I don't care how long it takes or how hard I have to work. She's going to get every penny with interest.
Fine, fine. If that's what we have to do to make you feel better about this whole thing, then that's exactly what we will do.
Isn't it time for you to leave?
Look, Draper, all this business about the house is all out in the open. Can we now just forget about it and go on with our lives?
I can't help the way I feel.
How about the way I feel? How about the way you're trying to make me feel? Draper, ever since you found out the truth about this house, you've been treating me with total indifference.
Well, what do you expect me to do?
Well, for one thing, I'd like you to explain why you refused to watch the 11 o'clock news with me last night.
I was tired.
You were tired? Draper, you know darn well that the interview with Miles was aired last night, and you also know how important it was to me for you to see it.
Sure you did fine.
Well, you, tired now?
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, MON does have a morning television news show, and they are repeating the interview with Miles.
All right. Turn it on.
By the way, do you know that Brian Madison is working at MON now? He was the cameraman. To the best of your knowledge, Doctor, then you were simply selected by this intruder at random?
Yeah, it must have been my lucky day. I was working late here in the office, and I heard a knock on the door, and I went to answer. I was confronted by this man in a ski mask carrying a gun.
Well, what happened then?
He told me to get my little black bag. We were going to make a house call.
And this is when he drove you to that deserted warehouse?
Yes, and when we got there, it became apparent why he had to get a doctor the way he did. There was a young woman there with a very severe bullet wound, and taking her to a hospital would have attracted the police.
Did this masked person at any time identify himself to you?
Not until the wounded woman gave him away. He's the man they call Tobias.
It's true, isn't it? That
You know, with a little bit of experience, you're going to be anchoring the evening news.
Really think so?
Yeah, I was called over there by a friend of mine, a young man who's acting as Paige Madison's bodyguard.
Steve Guthrie.
Yes. It was during that incident that this woman, one they call Louise, was shot. And I should add that I don't believe the wound would have been fatal if she had gotten the proper treatment in time.
Oh, I see. Then what you're saying was that it was neglect that killed this woman and not Paige Madison.
Yes, I'd say that's correct.
Well, Doctor,
very
tell me,
good
how did you
point.
feel when you were
Paige is
brought
going
to
to
the
appreciate
warehouse
that.
and told that you were going to have to operate?
What do you mean, how did I was scared. I mean, a masked man with a gun does not exactly put you at your ease. I was even more scared for my patient when I saw her because it looked like there was very little I could do to save her.
But you did operate.
I didn't have any choice. I had a gun being pointed at my head, and this man, Tobias, didn't look like he wanted any arguments from me.
It must have been a terrible experience for you.
Yes, it got worse because removing the bullet, did not stop the infection. And the woman's high fever made her delirious, and later she tried to get off the bed and hemorrhaged, apparently, and collapsed.
And she died.
Yes.
Well, what happened then?
Well, this Tobias seemed stunned for a moment. I thought I'd better take advantage of it, and I left the room as quickly as I could, slamming the door behind me.
He followed you?
I didn't look back over my shoulder. I just ran as fast as I could, and I hoped that he would not stop me. Apparently, he tried, though. I heard a couple of shots in back of me as I disappeared into the woods.
Well, how did you manage to get home?
an ordeal.
Well, I made it to a main road, and I hailed a ride back to Monticello, and I notified the police.
And the police then did locate the abandoned warehouse, and they found the body of this dead woman, but Tobias was nowhere to be found?
That's right.
Well, Dr. Kavanaugh, during the time you were held captive, Tobias made one specific quote of interest. Could you tell us what that was?
Well, he said that the attempts on Paige Madison's life were not his doing, that certain members of his group were going against his orders, and that he had come back to Monticello to try to stop any more assassination attempts.
I see. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Cavanaugh. At this very moment, an intensive search is being made for the man known only as Tobias, and according to police, at this time there isn't a single clue as to his whereabouts or his identity. This is April Scott for WMON News.
Unicorn.
Is this the bartender?
You got him.
Toby.
Can I ask who's calling, please?
Paige.
Oh, hi. Sorry if I sounded a little cautious, but most people know me as Mickey. Try to remember that.
Yeah, I know you have to be careful. When I saw you behind that bar at the club last night, I could have died.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing you didn't. The last thing I want to do is attract attention.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much knowing you're in Monticello means to me. I know what a risk it is for you to even be here and try to help me.
Look, Paige, I promised you a long time ago that nothing was going to hurt you. I meant that.
I know you did. And I don't blame you for anything that's happened.
Huh? No, I just botched the whole thing is all I did. I still don't know where we went wrong. I'd like to know who tipped the Mexican police.
I've got to see you and talk to you about it. And about what else has happened.
Yeah, I got to talk to you too, but our next meeting is going to have to be arranged very carefully. You still have your bodyguard, I guess.
Oh, yeah. After what you told me about Zach, I had to.
Yeah, well, he's the only one left, Paige, but he's mean. You're going to have to be really careful.
Well, then how are we going to arrange a meeting?
I think I know a way. From what I understand, Guthrie takes you out from time to time.
Yeah, usually when we make those plans, I end up getting shot at.
Yeah, well, you just get him to take you to the Unicorn tonight. Okay? You can do it.
Well, if Steve is with me, we won't be able to say a word. Oh, unless, of course, you're planning on tipping him off to our little secret.
No, you show up with your bodyguard. I'll take care of everything else.
Toby, I don't know if this trip to the Unicorn is such a good idea.
I thought you wanted to see me, Paige.
I do, but maybe we should wait till Zach is caught. That way I won't have Steve, and it'll be much easier to arrange a meeting.
No, Zach might bide his time. I want to see you right now, Paige.
I'm thinking about your safety, too.
Don't worry about me. Besides, the Unicorn's the safest place for you. Zach wouldn't dare try anything if he knew I was around.
And Steve will be suspicious if I even as much as say hello to you.
No, we just tell Steve that we met the night you came in to pick up your mother. Look, don't worry about it. Just be here, okay?
I'll do the best I can.
Okay, you call later, make a reservation. I'll see you tonight.
Bye-bye.
Oh, you got here fast.
Yeah, like I said on the phone. I'm real thirsty. We alone?
Just you and me and the bottle.
Long time no see, Toby.
Yeah. I wish it could have been a while longer, Zach. Like forever.
Last time I saw you, Mexican border patrol was about 100 yards behind you and gaining.
Losing them was easy.
Now, from what I read, the cops are no closer on coming down to you now than that day that caper blew up in our faces. I don't know how you do it.
I play it smart, Zach. Here I'm just a bartender. Everybody tells me their troubles, but nobody hears my own.
The only description they have of you is with that ski mask on. That can't hurt.
Yeah, well, this fall I'm going to get a new one. That should confuse the hell out of them, huh? You're still free as a bird. Where you been keeping yourself?
Yeah, I like to stay mobile. Don't make any ties. Don't leave any loose ends.
Yeah, well, there's one loose end that's got to be taken care of, Zach. That's why I called you.
Yeah, I felt real bad when I heard about Louise.
Yeah, I figured. You and Louise were pretty close. How'd you like to finish what she started, Zach?
What are you talking about?
You still want to see that double-crossing rich girl dead, don't you?
Yeah, we all want that. But let's face it, Toby. She has an army on her side.
It's got to be done, man. You swore it. Louise swore it. We all swore it.
Well, everyone that's tried has either ended up dead or in a very unhealthy condition. Paige leads a charmed life.
Yeah? Well, our luck's run out. I'm gonna set her up for you tonight, Zach. Paige Madison's gonna come walking right into this joint. But she's never gonna come out. You still want to see that double-crossing rich girl dead, don't you, Zach?
Sure, we all want that. Let's face it, Toby. She has an army on her side.
It's got to be done, man. You swore it. Louise swore it. We all did.
Everyone who's tried has wound up dead or very unhealthy condition. Paige leads a charmed life.
Oh, yeah? Well, take it from me. Her luck's run out. I'm gonna fix it up for you tonight, Zach. Paige Madison is gonna come in here, and she's never gonna walk out again.
Paige is coming here? Alone?
Yeah, she knows I'm here. Her old lover boy. She can't stay away.
Don't try to kid me. You never had anything going with her.
She'll be here, man. That's all that counts.
How come? She knows you're here. She wouldn't come within a million miles of this place, so she'd call the cops.
You're wrong about that, Zach. Paige believes in me. She trusts me.
Why should she?
Because she does, that's all. She thinks I'm here in Monticello to try to save her life.
And she bought that?
You just be here at 7, understand? Her reservation's for 7:30.
Reservation for how many?
For 2.
Who's the date? It's him, isn't it? That bodyguard of hers.
That's right.
I knew it. Follows her around like Mary's little lamb. And that dude is armed and dangerous.
You got nothing to worry about. You just concentrate on Paige. I'll take care of Guthrie.
How?
When the shooting starts, I'm going to make my own contribution to the festivities. With this. I keep this under the bar for protection. You know, in case we get held up or some punk tries to bust up the joint. I got a permit for it and everything. It's all nice and legal.
Are you kidding? You open fire with that thing and your cover's blown.
I'm going to be doing my duty as a good citizen. Hell, man, I should get a medal.
What?
I'm going to be trying to stop you from shooting Paige. You get it?
No.
It's simple. Guthrie and Paige come in here tonight for an evening out. You make your move, and then I make mine.
Doesn't sound like you're doing me any favor.
I said I was going to try to stop you. I didn't say I was going to be successful. Yeah, when the action starts, I'm going to make my move. Try to help my customers. But you know what a lousy shot I am?
You're an expert, Toby.
You got me confused with somebody else. Maybe this guy Toby's a good shot. But Mickey the bartender? He can't hit the side of a barn. He's going to get so excited that shot's going to go wild and it's going to wind up right in that bodyguard's heart.
That is one beautiful plan, Toby.
Yeah. And since it's an accident, I'll be free and clear.
What happens if Guthrie gets to me before you get to him?
You don't worry about it. I'll signal you when it's your turn to move.
After what he did to Jed, he deserves his.
Yeah, well, Jed isn't dead yet. My kid brother is.
What are you talking about?
When I came here, I had my kid brother move in with me, Joey. Kid was a punk, but he was the only family I had. One day, him and a sidekick of his decided to stick up a newspaper store. Well, at the time, Mr. Guthrie was Detective Guthrie of the PD. Yeah, cornered my kid brother when Joey pulled a toy gun on him. He gunned him down.
Sorry, Toby. I didn't know about that.
Guthrie claims it was an accident, a mistake. He didn't know it was a toy gun. Well, tonight, I'm gonna kill Guthrie just like he killed my brother. By mistake. Might call it poetic justice.
You always did say don't get mad, get angry.
That's exactly what we're gonna do tonight, Zach. We're gonna get even. For all of us.
I won't let you down, Toby.
Yeah, I know you won't. Listen, you wear a coat and tie tonight, huh? So you blend in with the crowd. I'll have a table reserved for you. And this reserved for Mr. Guthrie.
Chief, I'm here strictly as Paige's bodyguard. I think you should know about Zach. He may be a threat to her life.
I tell you, these people are determined to get rid of her, Steve. I just wish Paige would give us some more information.
Well, my job is to keep her alive. I'm not a cop anymore. If you want to give her a third degree, you'll have to do that yourself.
I may just do that.
Well, I think you'll be wasting your time. I don't think the Chinese water torture would make her tell you anything more about Tobias.
Haven't she realized it would be to her own advantage if we collar Tobias?
Yeah, but she doesn't see it that way.
The man's a criminal.
Well, as far as she's concerned, he's an idealist and a friend.
Listen, I don't know what kind of immunity Logan Swift has promised her, but I'll tell you this. If I find out that she knows Tobias's whereabouts, I could have her charged with aiding a fugitive, and maybe that will make her talk a little.
She's a very stubborn woman, Chief. You make a threat like that, and she might become just that much more resistant.
The only way we're ever going to resolve this damn situation is if we get Tobias.
Well, she may not be totally objective about Tobias, but she may be right about one thing.
What's that?
That he's her friend. He did risk a lot to come to Monticello.
Come on, Steve, you don't buy that baloney about him coming here to prevent any more attempts on her life?
Chief, she had no idea that Zach was after her. Now, Tobias warned her. He may be trying to help her.
Maybe. Anyway, if we're going to get over to the hospital to see Calvin, let's get going. We can continue this discussion on the way.
You know, usually people complain about a real estate deal when they get the worst end of it. You came out of this smelling like a rose.
Logan, I was played for a fool. Can't you see that?
Oh, you thought there was something fishy about this the first time that you heard it was selling for $65,000.
Well, look, the real estate agent said it was a distress sale. I mean, hell, everybody said, don't look a gift house in the mouth.
Right, I'd have signed those papers faster than you did.
Well, I wouldn't. Not if I knew the house was going to cost me $100 grand.
No, it's not bird feed.
Hey, you realize that if that real estate agent hadn't come around, offered me $125, I never would have put two and two together and gotten the truth? Hell, Logan. What really bothers me is April. April conspiring with Margot behind my back. I mean, that was going to be their little secret.
She didn't do it to hurt you.
Maybe Margot just convinced her that I was never going to be able to afford to buy her the kind of house that she wanted her daughter to become accustomed to. So she decided to take care of her baby herself.
Maybe, I mean, just maybe, Margot was trying to do something nice for her daughter and her son-in-law. You live in that house, too.
Now, what is this? Why doesn't anyone agree with me?
Look, if the place bothers you that much, why don't you just get rid of it, huh? Put it on the block and sell it. I'll give you $66,000.
Thanks, sport. No, that'd be just cutting off my nose to spite my face.
Right.
And besides, it just hurt April.
So, you're the owner of a $100,000 home.
And I am going to be the owner, too. The sole owner.
30 years from now, when you finally pay off the mortgage.
Yeah. The bank's not the only person I owe. I'm going to pay Margot back for what she did, Logan.
What are you going to do, take in laundry on the side?
Heck, I don't care how hard or how long I have to work. I'm going to make sure I don't owe her 1 red cent.
Sounds like you could use a few extra clients.
Sure could. If you know any floating around, send them over to me.
Matter of fact, I do know a person who could use your services. He's not very rich and his problem is not that complicated.
Who is it? What do I have to do?
It's me.
You. What could I do to help you?
I've got a little litigation you could handle for me. I want to adopt Jamie. It's an idea I've been kicking around for a while. I'd like to get started on it.
But Jamie is your son.
Not legally.
Got a point there.
There's a handful of people that know he's my natural son. When he was born, Raven was still married to Kevin, so as far as the law is concerned, he's Kevin's child. I want to stake my claim to that boy.
Well, as Raven's husband, for all intents and purposes, you are the kid's father.
What if something unforeseen happens to Raven? Jamie ends up in a foster home while we iron out the red tape. I want to make sure that that can't happen.
Yeah. Well, when you marry a single parent, I mean, adoption's relatively simple. It involves nothing but a lot of paperwork.
But a good lawyer doesn't represent himself.
right?
Exactly. Besides, I'm trying to be district attorney and run an election campaign. There's not enough hours in the day as it is.
Wait till November's over.
I want to do it now. You shouldn't complain. There'll be that big fat fee. You'll be $7.36 closer to paying off Margot.
Yeah, right. Every little bit helps.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Logan, is something wrong?
Wrong how?
Sudden desire of yours to adopt Jamie. Is it because... Hell, never mind.
That's okay. I mean, if you're thinking it's because Raven is not a candidate for the Mother of the Year award, you're right.
And look, I don't know anything about that.
The hell you don't. Why do you think she's always pushing Jamie off on you and April?
No, it doesn't require much of a push.
I think we just have to face the fact that the novelty is worn off. Yeah, she's not interested in the goo-goo gaga diapers phase of being a mother. You want to hear a horror story? I came in late from work the other night, and the only person there to greet me was Jamie. Raven had gotten bored, so she went to a movie.
You mean that kid was there all by himself?
She couldn't get a sitter, so she figured he'd be all right for a couple of hours. You know, he could read a book, maybe even write a short story. You know how creative babies are these days. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be complaining about my wife in public.
Look, I'll start the adoption proceedings right away.
Thank you.
We could do some preliminary work tonight.
No, not in that big of a hurry.
Okay, have you talked to Raven about this?
No, haven't mentioned it yet.
Maybe you should. I'm sure you're aware that you can't adopt Jamie without her consent.
April, while you're at that calendar, check and be sure that I'm absolutely clear between 12 o'clock and 2 tomorrow. Okay?
Gotcha. Business lunch?
Yeah, a rather important one, as a matter of fact. The president of the Regional Broadcasting Association. Seems I'm in line for some kind of an award for my contributions to local broadcasting.
Are you serious? I think that's terrific. You know, Margot, I'll bet you it has everything to do with that Movers and Shakers program. I don't know, I think it's an excellent public affairs show.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I'm kind of proud of that myself.
You should be proud. As a matter of fact, you should be proud of a lot of the things you've done since you've taken over here. By the way, do you know that not only the ratings have increased, but so have the earnings since you've taken charge?
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I've already had a head for business. I wish I could handle my personal affairs half as well.
Oh, come on, Margot.
I mean it. I managed to alienate my one and only son-in-law.
Margot, I don't... Look, Draper finding out about the house was upsetting. But I think things have more or less straightened out right now.
I don't know about that. The way he was acting last night, I think he'd be happy if he never saw me again, ever.
Look, I don't think his reaction was so strong just because of the house. I think he's still very upset about losing that job in New York. It was a disappointment.
Yeah, well, I think it would have been, if he'd gotten it, a bigger disappointment to you, to both of us.
Well, anyway, Draper's been rather depressed about it. I'm sure his state of mind had a lot to do with his overreacting about the house business. All he needs is time, Margot.
I know. Time heals all wounds, but I'm afraid this little incident is not going to blow over so quickly.
Why do you think so?
Because, although the yelling and shouting is over, I feel deep inside good old Draper is never going to forgive or forget.
Well, I certainly hope that is not the case.
I hope not, too. One thing I want you to promise me. Promise me no matter what Draper feels or what he says, that I'm never going to lose you.
Well, I had no idea I was quite that indispensable around here.
Well, you most certainly are.
Well, I don't think you have a thing to worry about. Considering the Scots' financial obligations these days, my career has become quite important. Besides, wild horses couldn't drag me away from here. I love my job.
I wasn't talking about losing an assistant. I was talking about losing a daughter.
That doctor who patched me up, he must have been some kind of a genius, you know, because he definitely promised me that after the operation I would definitely play the piano again.
But you could never play the piano before.
Yeah, that's why he must have been some kind of a genius. Look, come on, what do I have to do to get some kind of a smile out of you today?
Nothing.
If you don't lighten up, lady, I'm gonna have you arrested for depressing a patient.
Do you realize what's going to happen today?
Something happening today? You mean there's something happening here today and I don't know about it? Why am I always the last one to know these things?
Calvin, this could be the most important day of your life. It means a lot to me, too.
Yeah, I know. The moment of truth, right? Will the young, handsome police detective, shot down in the line of duty, regain the use of his leg and live happily ever after?
In a few minutes, the doctor's going to come in this door and take you out of this chair and see if you can walk again.
Right. You know, it reminds me of something I saw in a late movie once. You know, the kid jumps out of bed, he wobbles a little bit, and then he does a foxtrot down the hall with the head noise.
Calvin, this isn't the movies. What if you can't...
Well, no ifs, okay? The operation was a success, and everything is going to be just fine.
You're just saying that to make me feel better?
No, I am saying it to make me feel better. Baby, I have never been so scared in my whole life.
You know, I've never been too thrilled about you being a cop. But I'd hate to see you have to leave the force this way.
Look, let's just think positive, okay?
Okay. Just remember, no matter what happens, I love you. And I'll do anything I can to make whatever the future holds for you happy.
Well, listen, after hearing you say that, it really doesn't matter what happens to my bum leg. I'm gonna be just fine. And, you know, as soon as the doctor says that we can walk out this front door, we are gonna trot right over to the Coach House Grill, and we are going to have the biggest celebration feast you have ever seen.
Sounds nice.
You know, I've been sitting here thinking about all the places I'd like to walk, you know, like Malibu Beach at sunset, and the boardwalk in Atlantic City, and the Via Veneto in Rome. Think I could talk you into walking down some of those places with me?
There's one place right here in Monticello I'd love to walk down with you. The aisle of my local church.
Well, we made it.
Oh, and they said this was a private room. How you doing, Steve? Chief,
You're
thanks
looking
for
good,
coming.
Kelvin.
Well, I lost a little weight. You know, that hospital food does deter the appetite, but I appreciate you two guys stopping by for the big show.
Well, the only reason I came by was to find out when I could put your name back on the active duty roster. Deborah would have come too, but she has an appearance in court.
Yeah, I went out to buy you a nice long red carpet. We were going to lay it out here like this so you could take your first step. But I didn't have any time to shop.
Did you leave Paige Madison all by herself?
Oh, no. Chief Marceau gave me a couple of rent-a-cops. They're over there babysitting right now.
Oh, good morning. It looks like standing room only in here.
Well, I hope you're right about that. Dr. Berger, this is Steve Guthrie, my good friend.
Doc, nice meeting you.
This
Meet
is
you.
my boss, and good friend. This is Chief Bill Marceau,
Nice to
and
meet you, Doctor.
Chief, nice to meet you, too.
you know Star.
Yes, indeed. You all set, Calvin?
Yeah, I think I'm about as ready as I'm going to be.
Good.
Calvin says the operation was a success.
Well, the pin we put in his leg has taken hold of the shattered part of the bone, so his leg's in one piece again.
Can we assume then that he'll walk normally?
Well, there's no way of knowing whether the degree of fusion is sufficient to hold his body weight until he tries to walk.
Couldn't we just, you know, get started? I've never been too good at sitting still for very long.
Well, you know, I brought the nurses here to assist me in helping you up, but since your friends are here, maybe they'd like to do the honors.
Well, sure. What would you like for us to do?
Well, just help him stand up, get out of the chair on the floor, and stand by in case he needs the support.
All right.
Now, Calvin, one thing you have to consider here. You've been laid up for quite some time. The muscles in your legs have begun to atrophy. There's no way you're going to walk as if the accident never happened. It's going to take time to rebuild those muscles.
Yeah, well, suppose I can't stand on my legs at all.
You know, everyone heals at a different rate. If there's a problem, we'll just have to come back and try again in a couple of weeks.
I don't think I could stand the suspense.
Well, right now, all you should be concentrating on is standing by yourself and maybe taking a few small steps. If you can do that, you should be on your way to a fairly normal recovery.
Okay, well, here goes nothing.
All right. Easy does.
All right. Oh, hey, I'm a little shaky.
Take it easy. Take your time.
You can. All right.
Yeah? Okay, guys. Well, how am I doing so far, huh?
Looking good.
Baby, stand over there.
You did it.
Congratulations, Calvin.
Good going,
All right. When you prepare that new duty roster, you just make sure that Detective Calvin Stoner's name is on it.
Has your friend left yet?
Yeah, could I have some more coffee in the check?
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Swift. I know you must be terribly busy, but would you mind if I joined you for a moment?
I'll be my guest.
Thank you. I did stop by at your office, and they told me I'd find you here. I won't take up too much of your time, but it is important.
Well, how can I help you, Miss...
Albright.
Albright.
Sarah Albright, and it's how I can help you, Mr. Swift.
Well, I'm all ears.
Well, I've read an awful lot about you recently in the newspapers, and I think you've done a smashing job as district attorney.
Thank you.
There's no doubt in my mind that you deserve to win a full term of office in November. The reason for this intrusion is because I want to help you to win that election.
Well, if you'd like to volunteer to work on the campaign, that'd be splendid. I'll give you the number of my campaign manager.
I have some advice for you, Mr. Swift.
Oh.
Invaluable advice.
Well, I'm all ears.
I know how important a stable home life is to a politician.
Oh?
It's about your wife, Mr. Swift. I'm here to warn you to keep a closer eye on her activities. She's doing things you really ought to know about. Do I make myself clear?
Come in.
You ready?
Oh, I need about 10 more minutes. We're not late, are we?
Well, our reservation is at 7:30. Look, if I break all the speed limits, we're still not going to get there until 7:45.
You don't have to worry if you do drive a little fast. You're practically like having a police escort anyway.
Paige, I wish we did have a police escort. This is a terrible idea, going out to dinner tonight.
Why? I mean, you've taken me out before. Steve, I really feel like celebrating tonight. It's the first time in months that I am sure I'm not going to prison.
Yeah, and you were sure there were no more assassins. Now there is one, according to Tobias.
Now I am sure that the police are going to catch him. Look, so long as I go out with my bodyguard, and you're not afraid of Zach, what's his name? Neither am I.
No, everything is just fine, Mickey. There were no repercussions from our little crisis here the other night.
Oh, you are some lucky man, Mr. Dorn. You know, you're the only guy I know that can juggle 3 women at once and get away with it.
Oh, an early customer. Good evening. Do you have a reservation?
Yes, the name is Smith.
I took the reservation, Mr. Dorn. It's a table for one.
Mr. Smith, your table will be ready in a few minutes. Why don't you have a drink at the bar?
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
How you feeling tonight, Zach?
Nervous as a cat. How do you think I'd be feeling?
Well, let me give you a drink. It'll settle you down. Still like that 12-year-old stuff? I mean, scotch this time.
And I haven't had enough money to even buy a warm beer since that thing blew up in our faces. You don't suppose you could lend me a few bucks, do you, Toby?
Listen, man, don't use that name again. Unless you want a scar on the other side of your face.
Sorry, I forgot. But no kidding, I'm really flat. I used the last 50 I had to get a hold of a piece.
You got it with you?
Right here. Shoulder holster. Been practicing my draw all afternoon. I got it down to 3 seconds flat.
Zach, this ain't the Wild West. Don't try to outdraw the cop. You just stay ready to shoot after I give you the signal.
Yeah, all right. Look, about that money, I really need it. I'm broke.
Look, don't worry about it. I don't have anything on me now. I just have some walking around money. After you take care of things, I'll take care of you.
You sure she's gonna be here tonight?
She'll be here. I talked to her today to make sure. She's coming with a bodyguard around 7:30.
That's the part that worries me, that bodyguard of hers.
You leave him to me. I got the answer to that little problem. Right here.
Excuse me, Mr. Smith, your table's ready.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Oh, bravo. Only 15 minutes late. New record.
Aren't you used to having women keeping you waiting?
Well, Deborah used to keep me waiting a lot. Then she joined the police force. She got so fast, then she has to wait on me, you know?
Well, maybe I ought to join the police force and get a little discipline. Oh, which reminds me, you haven't told me a thing about Calvin.
I was saving that for good dinner conversation.
Please, no, tell me now. How's his leg?
Well, he didn't run a 4-minute mile or anything, but he could stand on his leg, put all his weight on it. It was a very good sign.
Gee, that's terrific.
Yeah, we were very happy for him. Calvin was standing there grinning from ear to ear. God, it means a lot to him to be a cop.
It meant a lot to you, too, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how long it'll take before he'll get back on active duty. Unless, of course, they let him drive a desk. Knowing him, he'll do that. He'll do anything to get back in action.
You would like to get back in action, too, wouldn't you?
Hey, listen, right now, all I want to do is go have dinner, okay?
Steve, when they catch my assassin, my life is going to be out of danger. Well, you know what that means, don't you?
Hey, look, let's not count our assassins before they're catched. Oh, hey, listen, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to become a stand-up comic right after this bodyguard job.
What are you going to do after this bodyguard job? You going to go back to the police?
Look, I haven't changed my mind how I feel about police work. That's what I told Chief Marceau this afternoon.
You saw the chief?
Yeah, he and I went down to the hospital to see Calvin together. Look, Paige, I want to be truthful with you. I don't want to lie. I told the chief what you told me about Zach.
And Tobias?
They go together.
No, they don't. They're different. One is trying to save my life, and the other one is trying to kill me. Let's go to dinner.
Brian, you're wrong to think about... Listen, I'll tell you what makes this picture impractical, Eddie. It's the special effects. I just love these screenwriters who pencil in things that cost about $1 million to produce.
I don't agree with you. Look, there's nothing in this script that can't be handled with a little ingenuity.
Ingenuity costs money too, Eddie. Okay, if we can hire some genius from Hollywood, that's fine. He can probably do these tricks for you for about $500,000, then he's gonna want the other half for himself.
I am taking my car.
You got gas?
Plenty of gas.
Hey, you two. Have a good night.
Thank you. You guys
right.
don't work too hard.
We won't.
Take care now. Be careful.
You know, nobody really told me what this picture's all about. All I heard was that it was a horror film.
Horror's right, Brian. People are gonna shriek and scream when they see the budget.
Owen, my bottom line is still under $1 million.
Well, of course it is, Eddie, because you're lumping the special effects under photography. When you know damn well that you're gonna have to break it down sooner or later, and it's gonna cost 5 times what you put down there.
Dad, you know, I don't know very much about special effects, Hollywood style, but I know if you used videotape,
Brian,
it'd save
please, you just don't know what you're talking about, all right?
You're right, I don't. I only meant that, that if you used videotape, it'd be all right to transfer it to film.
Hey, this kid's pretty smart. You ought to listen to him, Owen.
Yeah, maybe we should bring Brian in on this. Make it a little family project, huh?
Why not? Why not? The Madison family presents.
Well, this family could use something to bring it together.
You know, this is not just an ordinary horror picture, Brian. Sure, we want to scare the pants off everybody, but we want to have a nice, solid drama, too.
You don't let him kid you, Brian. It's a standard phrase in Lotus Land about making solid, relevant drama. What he's really talking about is making solid, relevant money.
You go right ahead, Uncle Eddie. Tell me about the rest of the picture, especially the main character now, the one Mom's gonna play.
If she can play it, and if I can afford to let her try.
She's a lady, a rich lady who comes from a very good family, who's living in this nice, gloomy, scary house around 1870. But the house happens to be in Salem, Mass. And this woman has always known that she's somehow different.
And I assume she finds out what that difference is, right?
Oh, she's a witch, of course. What else?
She finds out that her ancestor was a witch, one of the most famous in Salem, who was hanged, maybe almost 300 years ago.
Uncle Eddie, those witch hangings were the result of hysterical accusations by young girls wanting attention.
Now, look, don't give me the history bit, Brian. We're talking show business here, right?
Yeah, that's right, Brian. Don't confuse him with facts.
Oh, well, the truth is there's a fact behind the story. Now, Donald Hooks, the screenwriter, found this story in an unpublished biography of the lady.
Hooks? Wait a minute, that isn't the same Donald Hooks. I mean, wasn't he killed a couple of years ago?
That's right. He was thrown off his horse, broke his neck. And the horse was considered to be one of the most gentle in the stable.
Well, you did say something about this film carrying a curse, didn't you?
Well, the only curse would be to put down money on something like this. It's just not going to work.
Eddie, I just read it again.
Darling.
Slowly, just as you said. And oh, Eddie, it's tremendous. This woman, this Hester Atherton, well, she's a fabulous character.
Mom, you look terrific. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm fine, Brian. I feel absolutely marvelous. My headache's all gone.
Maybe Hester cast a spell.
Maybe you're right. My head felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds when I began reading the script. By the time I finished, I felt completely cured.
Hey, well, maybe that's the promotional angle, huh? We'll just sell Mansion of the Damned as a cure for headaches.
Oh, and I know this picture is going to work. Oh, I realize it's full of all sorts of hokum, but it's delicious hokum. The kind everybody enjoys. Don't you think so, Brian?
Well, I haven't really read the script yet, Mom. Uncle Eddie was just telling us about it.
It's about a woman, Brian. That's what it's about. A living, breathing, unhappy, emotional, frustrated, jealous, suffering woman.
Oh, all that and a witch, too.
But every woman becomes a witch when she's deprived of everything that makes her life meaningful, don't you see?
Nola, are you saying that this picture has a message?
Of course it has, Owen. Because Hester doesn't sell her soul to the devil until after everything's been taken away from her.
Whoa. The devil is in this picture, too?
Yes, he is. Of course, nobody calls him that. He's a very wealthy merchant. and you never quite know what he does. Anyway, Hester has everything taken away from her, everything that's important to her, by this empty-headed young woman.
Aha, the eternal triangle.
Ah, you know what they say. The triangle is the devil's favorite geometric figure.
Wow, I never heard that before.
Well, that's because I just made it up.
But she has no choice, Brian. That's the whole point of the story. She can either give up and die, or she can fight and win.
Yeah, but she only wins by selling her soul. Is that the message?
No, darling. The message is be fair. Be fair to this woman, to any woman, or you'll deserve her vengeance. It's really kind of a women's liberation story, isn't it? Oh, and that ending, that incredible ending, when she tricks the devil himself.
Oh, sure, why not? He's a man too, isn't he?
Have you been figuring out the costs? Is that what this is all about?
Yes, darling, we've been looking at the cost. I just want you to remember what I told you, that I cannot make up my mind about this project until I'm sure that it's feasible, from the money standpoint.
Yes, I understand. But there are some things that are more important than money, aren't there, Owen?
Yes. We were just saying that this could be a whole family project, Nola. With Owen producing and directing, you being the star, Brian working behind the camera.
Brian? Yes. Yes, why not? And Paige. Paige is the young cousin, Owen.
Oh.
Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? And wouldn't that be something you've always wanted?
That was a vodka martini, Mickey, not gin.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Dorn.
Mickey, this is the second drink we've had to go over in the last 15 minutes. What's wrong?
Oh, nothing. It's just one of those nights, you know. I understand Miss Madison might be coming in tonight.
Miss Madison? Oh, you mean that lady who came here last night to pick up her inebriated mother?
Yeah, she called, didn't she, to make a reservation? Said something about being here soon?
Not to my knowledge. Oh, wait a minute. There was this young lady who called, made a reservation in the name of Wilson. She sounded a bit like Miss Madison. Maybe it was the name of her escort.
Yeah, well, I guess she wouldn't use her right name with all the trouble she's had and everything.
Yeah, that's true enough.
And the escort, that would be Steve Guthrie.
Steve Guthrie. So that's why you're so tense this evening. You don't relish the idea of seeing him enjoying himself here?
I don't relish the idea of seeing him enjoy himself anywhere. Unicorn. Can I ask who's calling, please? One moment. Mr. Dorn. It's for you, but I didn't say you were here.
Who is it?
Mrs. Swift. And I will deliver the drink with my apologies.
Okay.
Oh. And how are things at the Unicorn tonight?
Quite as exciting as last night, I'm pleased to say.
Well, that's what you get for keeping too many women on a string, my dear. You know, about this Sarah, was she really your maid?
Listen, I can assure you, my precious, it was only a very casual thing. Just a little diversion, you know, between vacuum cleaning and so forth. Anyway, I met her a long time ago before I met you.
I see.
It all finished a long, long time ago.
Uh-huh, I see. Well, I just hope that Mrs. Dorn never found out what was going on right under her nose, because she would have vacuum cleaned you right out of her house.
Listen, Raven, I hope you were not too upset about what happened last night.
Me? Listen, there's nothing I like better than a little excitement.
Oh, yeah, so I've noticed.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, there is something I like better than a little excitement. That's a lot of excitement. We really have to see more of each other.
I know, but unfortunately, it's getting to be not easy for either one of us.
Listen, in a week, it's going to be very easy for me.
What do you mean?
My husband is going out of town on a statewide campaign tour.
Really?
Mm-hmm. 15 cities in 5 days. But of course his dutiful wife is going with him.
She is?
Of course. I mean, how would it look if a candidate went without his wife by his side? Of course, the baby can't go. 7-month-old baby can't travel, but...
Listen, maybe I didn't hear you well enough, Raven, but what is so good about this good news?
Oh, didn't I tell you? I have a terrible cold.
Yes, you do sound awful, Raven. I mean, you should take better care of yourself, really.
Well, look, the cold hasn't really developed yet. I mean, I don't want it to develop too soon because my husband might decide to cancel the tour. But it is going to be really terrible, and he's going to have to go all by himself.
Well, that sounds very nice, Raven. But the fact that you're as free as a bird doesn't mean that I'm equally available at the same time.
Listen, you better be. Because I've been going through an awful lot of trouble just to set this whole thing up. So if you don't come through...
Listen, baby. Let me call you back. I've got some customers coming in. Okay? I'll call you back. Bye. Ah, good evening, Miss Madison.
Oh, hello, Mr. Dorn. And before you get the chance to ask, my stepmother is fine, thank you. Just fine.
I'm glad to hear that. Mr. Guthrie, how are you tonight?
I'm just fine, Elliot. Listen, we have a reservation under the name of Wilson.
Follow me. Well, can I get you anything from the bar while you're waiting?
Yes, I'd like an old-fashioned.
Give me something in a bottle like ginger ale.
Right.
Why are you so antagonistic toward Mickey?
Wait a minute. He's the one who's antagonistic towards me. The guy'll never let me forget that I killed his brother.
You know, I was in here the other day when we came to pick up Nola, and I spoke to him. He seemed like a kind of nice fellow.
Well, that's not my impression. But then, I don't know the guy, huh?
Old-fashioned, one ginger ale.
I want to thank you again, Mr. Dorn. You were very thoughtful the other evening.
Oh, that was nothing, Miss Madison. I just saw your mother needed help.
My stepmother. But that doesn't matter. She's very grateful, and she wanted me to say so.
She was a celebrated movie star, wasn't she? Famous Nola Patterson.
I'm not sure that she thinks of herself in the past tense.
Oh, I didn't mean to imply that. I just assumed she'd retired.
Oh, she doesn't assume any such thing. She usually tells people that she's between jobs.
I see.
And she thought that you would make a perfect movie type. She thought you'd make a wonderful matinee idol.
How very kind.
But I think that today's leading men are much more ordinary looking.
Oh, that's wonderful. Give me a shot, wouldn't you?
Have you ever acted professionally, Mr. Dorn?
No, Miss Madison, not on a stage. Although there was a time when I was some sort of an actor.
I remember that. When you were running the Children of the Earth thing, right?
The what?
Oh, never mind, I'm sure. Well, it was a long story. I'm sure Mr. Dorn would like to put that way, way behind him.
Yeah, Mr. Guthrie, you're quite right. Well, I'll have to attend to my present business. Enjoy your evening. I'll send a waitress over with the menu. Good night.
Thank you. We haven't drunk a toast yet.
That's right. Well, what shall it be tonight?
How about Calvin's leg?
Oh, that's nice. Here is to Calvin's leg.
Not bad, is it? Elliot!
Look out!
Seems as though a harmony is hard to find, always on our mind. In frustrated days pass without sight, the edge of night, half dark, half light, as we watch watch our heart. Trying to hold the tenderness that we once had, halfway glad and halfway sad.
You know, my stepmother thinks you'd make perfect movie material, Mr. Dorn. A wonderful matinee idol.
How very kind.
I don't know if I agree with her. I think leading men today are much more ordinary looking.
Oh, hey, that's terrific. Looks like I get a shot at it.
Have you ever acted professionally?
No, Miss Madison, not on a stage. Although there was a time when I was sort of an actor.
Hey, I remember that. That's when you were running the Children of the Earth thing, wasn't it? Oh, but that's a long story. I'm sure Mr. Dorn would like to put that way behind it.
Yeah, that's quite right. Well, I'll tend to my present business and hope you enjoy the evening. I'll send a waitress over with the menu.
Thank you. Ah, we haven't drunk a toast yet.
Oh, that's right. What shall we drink to?
How about, Calvin's leg?
Yeah, that's nice. Here's to Calvin's leg.
Elliot!
Look out!
Just relax. Just keep calm. Everybody relax. Get out of our way. Just be calm. Just be calm. Just relax. This is
Keegan.
He's dead. Nice shooting, Mickey.
I just pointed the gun and fired it.
You saved our lives.
I didn't really think about what I was doing, miss. I saw this guy going for a gun, so I reached for mine.
Elliot, can I use your telephone?
Sure, go ahead. Miss Madison, are you all right?
I'm all right, but I'm scared as hell. God.
Thank God we saw this madman in time.
Steve and I were sitting here drinking a toast, and then he pulled me to the floor, and then...
That was pretty quick thinking, Mickey.
This is Steve Guthrie. Yes, I meant the unicorn. No, everybody's all right. Uh-huh. As quickly as possible, thank you.
Oh, and you don't know what this means to me. To hear you say what you did. It's almost like hearing you say, I love you.
But I do love you, Noah. You're my wife.
But do you really mean it? You are going to make this movie?
Well, we'll go into production. That's as much as I can promise, but I can't swear that we're ever going to finish it. Well, you heard what Eddie said about the curse on this movie.
Oh, I don't believe that. Do you? I think Eddie just made the whole thing up to make it sound more dramatic. It's just like him.
Well, he didn't make up the fact that both leading ladies died during the production.
Oh, well, I doubt very much that was the ghost of Hester Atherton that made that happen. Poor Susan had a heart problem for years. And as for Myrna Davenport, well, it wasn't a witch that killed her, darling. It was pure alcohol. Owen, is that why you've been so hesitant about this?
The curse?
No, my particular curse, alcohol. Did you think I'd let that interfere with the shooting?
It occurred to me, yes.
God knows you've had enough trouble with drunken leading ladies and men. But I swear to you, Owen, I won't touch one drop when we do this. I mean it, not a drop.
It's the same old promise, Noah, just a different reason this time.
No, I swear a different promise. One that I'll keep. Oh, you know the main reason I drank. Because it killed my worst enemy, time.
I know that you need to work. God knows I do.
Yes, it's true, darling. You've spent so much time just worrying about your miserable family. Brian running away from home, Paige and her terrible friends. And me, of course. I've been your worst problem.
Well, doubt if we'll solve all our problems with this family project.
But look how much fun it's going to be. All of us working together.
Well, I don't know if that's going to be possible. I mean, I don't know whether Paige is going to want to make her acting debut in Mansion of the Damned.
But you've always wanted her to have a film career.
I wanted her to be happy. And one time I thought that was the way to do it. Well, things happen, as you very well know.
Well, I think it'll change her completely. Take her mind off all these ridiculous causes and silly crushes. Oh, and it's a turning point for us. It's a kind of a miracle, I think. If Hester Atherton was a witch, I think she's a very good one.
You really believe it, Uncle Eddie? You believe that this movie is going to do this family some good?
Brian, when are you going to start calling me just plain Eddie? I mean, I feel old enough as it is. But when some ex-admiral keeps calling me uncle...
I didn't quite make admiral in the Navy.
Brian, I'm not saying that this movie is going to be the cure for everything and everybody, but, well, if it puts your dad back to work and gets your mother out of her sick bed, who can it hurt?
It could hurt both of them, Eddie. What if the movie flopped?
Oh, Brian, movies flop all the time. The world doesn't come to an end.
Well, my mother's world could. Eddie, it's been 15 years since my mother set foot in front of a camera. She may expect to see the old Nola Patterson up there on that screen, but she sure won't.
That is what you think. She's going to see what she wants to see. And in my unhumble opinion, she's going to give a performance that a lot of people are going to want to see.
Yeah. What if she doesn't? What if she can't make it work? What do you think that'll do to her?
What the hell do you want, kid? You want a gold-plated guarantee? You want a life without risks, without any chances? No wonder you didn't make Admiral. Say, can I help myself to the booze?
Sure. Make yourself at home. You're practically a member of the household anyway. At least that's what Dad keeps on saying.
Thanks.
Matter of fact, you almost were a member of this family, weren't you?
What do you mean?
I mean, I might just be calling you Dad instead of Uncle, Eddie.
Now, whoever gave you an idea like that?
Oh, you know kids always hear more than they're supposed to. And the one thing I remember hearing when I was, about 11 or 12, was the fact that you were supposed to be in love with my mother.
Oh, come on now. Who wasn't in love with Nola Patterson in those days? You know, she used to get 2,000 to 3,000 letters a week. She used to get 40 or 50 proposals of marriage every month.
Did she ever get one from you?
Brian, I was always crazy about your mom. But Owen is the lucky stiff who got her, and okay, fine, because I like him too. But I still think enough of your old lady to want to see her back on her feet again. You know what I mean?
I know.
Then help me, will you, kid? You love her too, right? Help me make this damn thing work.
It's just going to be insane. Oh, thank you. We have 15 towns in 5 days. We're not going to have time to pack or unpack.
That is a wild schedule. What do you do, Logan? Do you make the same speech in every city?
Yeah, about the same. I have to remember the name of the place, though, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, can't tell you what a pleasure it is being back in good old Chicken Falls.
Chicken Falls?
My campaign's manager says we regionalize the speech after the opening.
Oh, and how exactly do you regionalize it?
Well, if we're in some suburb where the crime rate is zilch, I can't really scream at them about putting all their crooks behind bars.
Well, then what the hell do you say?
something like, well, folks, you've got a nice, peaceful little community here in
The Chicken Falls.
Chicken Falls, right? Now, you don't want a lot of hoodlums coming up from Monticello and ravishing your banks and robbing your women, do you? Now, if you don't want the Monticello bad guys up here, you know what you got to do. You got to elect a strong district attorney. You're going to put them someplace where they can't do the God-fearing people of Chicken Falls any harm.
That's a wonderful speech, and I will vote for you in a second.
By the way, what are you going to do with Jamie while you're away? Is that lady, what's her name, Mrs.
Mrs. Harris, she said she'd take him for 3 days.
Well, what are you going to do with the other two?
Well, I hope she'll take him the other 2, but if she doesn't, I guess she may just have to take him to her place, and God knows what that's like.
Yeah, I'm not too crazy about that idea myself, leaving him alone in a strange house.
Well, too bad you're doing most of your traveling during the week. I'd love to have him for a couple of days, over the weekend or something.
You know, it's really a shame you can't take some time off. Draper says you've been working awfully hard.
Well, Margot's been after her to take some time off. To stop her from working those 16-hour days.
Whoa, look who's talking. Draper has worked later than me, later than I, almost every night this whole week.
Well, I still wish we could take him on the campaign tour. Then I wouldn't have to make any speeches at all. Just hold him up, show him to the audience, and say, any man with a child like this deserves your vote, right?
Don't be silly.
Hey, look, is there any chance you could take him, Logan?
No, there's not a chance. It's going to be bad enough with all the traveling. Can you imagine packing 500 diapers?
Yeah, it does sound a little impractical. Maybe the other idea isn't so bad, though, huh?
What idea?
Well, taking a couple days off.
Are you serious? Would you really consider taking him?
Well, you said that Mrs. Harris can take him for 3 days, right? And, well, there is a holiday coming up, so I have some time coming to me. What do you think, Draper?
That would be terrific. Did you hear that?
Well, it would sure be great as far as I'm concerned. The thing that's been worrying me the most about this campaign tour is whether or not I can trust Mrs. Harris
Well, look,
with it.
I do have to talk to Margot first.
Well, I don't think Margot's going to give you a hard time, but I think what she had in mind was a vacation.
Oh, well, now, listen, we don't want to foul up any vacation plans, you guys.
Oh, wishful thinking. Draper's idea of a vacation these days is not working on Sunday. You think I've been eager about work? Should check out my husband here.
Yeah, he told me he's got to make his fortune now so he can pay his fuel bills this winter.
Yeah, they're going to be something, too. I hope our apartment is warm this winter. I catch cold so easy. As a matter of fact, I think I'm getting one right now.
Yeah, you didn't tell me about that.
Yeah. Do you have a tissue?
Oh, I'm sorry. Right up there.
Oh, thanks.
Cookie? I'm enjoying it.
You know, Logan, you are going to win this election, I know it, because the man that is running against you is so unattractive.
It's not a beauty contest, Raven.
Well, I know, but you're going to win anyway.
Well, I think you can count on 4 votes here anyway.
Well, you'd have 5 if Jamie could vote, but he seems to be getting a little sleepy. You think maybe we could bring him upstairs?
Yeah. I guess it is time to put him to bed. I told Logan he would just be in the way if he were up.
Well, no, not at all. I love having him, but it is getting late. Must be past your bedtime.
Okay.
Thank you.
Come on, time to go to bed.
He's heavy.
Have a little adult conversation around here. It's the trouble with having a kid. They always get all the attention.
Oh. Look at you, Bottom.
Did you talk to Raven yet about, adopting Jamie legally?
No, I haven't had a chance. I hadn't seen her since I talked to you at lunch today. I came right here, met her here.
Might be a good time to bring it up. I mean, I don't have the papers with me, but you could get the ball rolling.
Sure.
Is something wrong?
No.
There's not going to be any objection, is there? I mean, considering the fact that you are Jamie's legal father. I mean, natural father.
I don't know why she would object, like you say. It's just a formality.
Right.
All right. You got me. I'm thinking about something else. Something that happened today at the restaurant after you left.
I know. You forgot your money and couldn't pay the bill.
Don't I wish. No, this woman came over and sat down at the table. I'd never seen her before. She had an accent, English, I think.
What'd she want?
She wanted to tell me something. Didn't stay long, just a minute or two, just long enough to tell me to keep an eye on my wife.
What?
That was all. No details, no accusations, just keep an eye on Raven. said she was doing things that I would not like. The implication was very clear.
It's a crank, Logan. You're DA. I mean, you deal with these people all the time, every hour on the hour.
Oh, yeah. I deal with cranks every day at the office. Not very often in restaurants.
Just don't waste any time thinking about it.
Yes, April was right. Fell asleep the minute he hit the bed. Drat. Why the silence? Talking about me, weren't you? You stopped the minute I came in the room.
No, as a matter of fact, we were talking about Jamie.
See, I told you. You're lucky you don't have a kid. They get all the attention.
Oh, come on, Raven. I wouldn't mind. If I had a baby as cute as Jamie, I'd lavish all my attention on him.
We were discussing some legal problems that concern Jamie.
Legal? What's legal about a 7-month-old baby?
Well, Logan and I were talking about Jamie's legal status. It's not as clear as it could be.
Lawyers. Aren't they awful?
Well, they're not all so bad.
You know, Jamie has only one legal parent. That's you, Raven. Logan thought it would be a good idea if he had a full set.
I don't understand what all this is about.
Well, I think it would be a good idea if I adopted Jamie. Make sure that he has all his legal rights.
Well, what kind of legal rights are you talking about?
Want him to be able to inherit my vast fortune if I'm run over by a truck,
Gotcha.
stuff like that. You know, it's just a formality. It's the kind of stuff that a lawyer would be concerned about. It's okay with you, isn't it?
Sure. Why shouldn't it be?
Mansion of the Damned.
Hey, you're home early.
Oh, Brian, you wouldn't believe what happened.
Steve, what?
Oh, God.
God, it happened all over again, didn't it? Somebody else tried to kill her, right?
Oh, you predicted it, Brian. I hope that makes you satisfied.
Damn it, Steve. Why do you take all these chances with her?
Oh, Brian, no. I was the one who wanted to go out. I practically insisted Steve take me. But I'm glad. I am so very glad.
How can you be glad about almost getting yourself killed,
Well,
Paige?
I'm all right. I'm fine. And he's dead.
Who?
He isn't going to hurt me anymore. Nobody is ever going to hurt me anymore.
All right, Paige, it's all right. I want you to calm down and take it easy. Just take it easy. Sit down, and I want you to
Brian.
tell me what happened now.
Brian, we were in the restaurant.
Let me put it to you this way. We went to the Unicorn. A guy named Zach, I guess he must have followed us over there. He pulls a gun and tries to kill your sister.
Steve pulled me under the table. I don't know how many times we're going to have to say thank you to you.
You're gonna have to say thank you to the bartender, Mickey Dials.
Yeah. It was incredible, Brian. If it hadn't been for the bartender.
It's okay, Paige. It's all right. Now, what is all this about it being the last time? How do you know that?
Paige seems to think that it's over.
I know it is. I'm sure of it. I found out from a very, very reliable source.
Tobias. Tobias got in touch with her. He warned her about Zach. Said that he was the last assassin. Well, I guess he was right. Zach's dead. Are you all right?
Fine.
Okay. I have to get back to the Unicorn. There are cops all over the place. They'll probably want to ask me some questions. I just wanted to make sure your sister was home safe and sound.
I'm safe. I've never been so safe in the last 3 months. I don't know.
I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Steve. Paige, is this for sure? I mean, is it really true? Is your friend Tobias really telling the truth?
Yes, I know it is. I know it's as true as I know anything. As well as I know that I love you. With all my heart.
Brian!
Oh, Daddy, it's over. It's all over and I'm free. Do you know how wonderful it is To say that I'm really free?
I hope so, Paige. I really do.
It's true. You can believe it. Everybody in Tobias's gang is either dead or running from the police in South America.
I'm very happy for you if that's really so.
It is. Ask Steve. He'll tell you it's the truth.
All right. I'll talk to him right now. I don't think you're in any shape to discuss
But
anything.
look, he's at the Unicorn answering some questions from the police. But when he comes back,
Fine. Okay, all right. That's all right. Now, we're in no rush now. I just think it's a good idea for you to go upstairs and lie down, all right?
Okay. I should lie down.
Oh.
I really think that this is a new start for me. I think it could be a new life for all of us.
We could all use one, honey. Now, go on. Go on, baby. Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Well, why don't you say it?
Do I have to say it? You know what you were doing was wrong, Brian.
I wasn't doing anything, Dad. Paige was just telling me what happened.
She was doing more than that, Brian. A lot more. And you were just sitting there letting her believe that you felt the same way.
You don't have any idea how I feel.
Oh, yes, I do. I've seen your feelings, Brian. I've seen them in your eyes when you look at her. I've seen them every time you touch her. Well, it's got to stop, Brian. The look in your eyes and the touching, it's got to stop right now. Now, is that clear?
Excuse me, I think I'll go upstairs.
Brian, did you forget? I know it's been 3 years since I told you, but did you forget what I said?
How could I have forgotten?
Well, it seems to me that you have from what went on the sofa. Well, maybe I better remind you, Brian. Paige is your sister. She's not your stepsister. She's your flesh and blood sister. Now, for God's sake, Brian, remember that.
Well, why don't you say it?
Do I have to say it? You know what you were doing was wrong.
I wasn't doing anything. Paige was just telling me what happened.
She was telling you more than that. A lot more. And you just sat there and let her believe that you felt the same way.
You don't have any idea how I feel, Dad.
Oh, yes, I do. I've seen your feelings, Brian. I've seen them in your eyes every time you look at her. I've seen them every time you touch her. Well, it's got to stop, the look in your eyes and the touching. It's got to stop right now. Is that clear?
Excuse me, I think I'll go upstairs.
Did you forget what I said? I know it's been 3 years, Brian. Did you actually forget what I said?
How could I?
Well, from what I just saw in this room, you must have. So let me remind you again. Paige is your sister, Brian. Not your stepsister, but your flesh and blood sister. Now, for God's sake, Brian, remember that.
Dad, I haven't forgotten that, not for a minute. In fact, I haven't stopped thinking about it since you first told me.
Do you think I have? I didn't want to tell you, you know. And I could see that things were getting out of hand. The way that you two kissed at Paige's 18th birthday party. I could see that there were feelings that just shouldn't have been there.
Well, whose fault was that? You and Mom are the ones that brought us together.
Well, of course we brought you together. It never occurred to either of us that stepchildren would fall in love. That's why we felt that you should know, Brian, that I was the father to you both. The real dad.
And just what would the real dad like me to do now? Don't bother answering, I already know. The real dad would like nothing better than for me to leave this house too, right?
Brian, I never wanted
wanted you to leave 3 years ago. That isn't why I told you the truth, to drive you away.
You really think I had any choice?
Yes, you had a choice. And the best one would have been to stay here and to face the reality of the situation.
Just the way you and Mom faced it?
All right, Brian. I know that we're more at fault than you are. I told you that 3 years ago. The mistakes that were made were ours, and unfortunately, we compounded them by not telling you the truth before you were both growing up.
Oh, let's face it, Dad, you would never have told me the truth. It was only because you were worried that Paige and I would have eloped or something, and no doubt produced idiot children.
Stop that, but I don't want to hear that kind of talk.
Dad, I remember every word of what you said 3 years ago. I've had plenty of time to remember them. You'd be surprised how much time a sailor has to do nothing but remember things.
All right. Maybe I didn't handle it very well. Maybe if I'd been more tactful, you wouldn't have run off. And broken your mother's heart.
I did your heart some good, though, didn't I?
No, of course not.
Oh, don't
Brian.
kid me, Dad. You probably breathed a big sigh of relief when you came home that night and Mom told you I was gone, because that meant your problem was gone, too, right?
Brian, you are wrong. That is not the solution I wanted. I just wanted you to discourage the crush that Paige had on you.
Didn't it ever occur to you that I just might have been very much in love with her, too?
Yes, it occurred to me.
Well, don't worry about it. I don't feel that way anymore.
Don't you?
I can't feel that way, Dad. Don't you think I know that? I'm not allowed to feel anything for Paige but brotherly love.
Brian, look, I know it isn't easy. I know that emotions aren't like faucets. You just can't turn them on and off at will. Look, maybe I just didn't make this clear before. Let me do it now. What happened in this family wasn't your fault, Brian. None of it, or Paige's. Nola and I are completely to blame for the thoughtlessness, the ruthlessness, whatever you want to call it. But whether you believe it or not, we were very much in love, too. And that's why you were born. Long before Nola and I became husband and wife. You see, and that's why it was such a natural thing to do, to bring our family together under one roof.
The mansion of the damned.
Oh, don't say that, Brian. Well, we were happy once. We were close.
Closer than we thought.
Well, Brian, you weren't just kids, you and Paige. We never stopped to think that either of you grow up to think of each other as anything but brother and sister.
We always knew that we weren't.
All right, so now you know different.
Yes, I know. Paige still doesn't.
No, she doesn't.
Never thought of telling Paige, did you, Dad?
Do you want me to tell her, Brian?
That's not my choice to make.
Brian, I just didn't think she could handle a situation as well as you could.
But why? Because I'm the man?
Because you're older. Because I thought you could understand these things better, without too much rancor.
You mean without running away from it, right?
Yes, I never thought you'd do that. And neither did Nola.
And is that why you never told Paige, Dad? Because you were afraid she might do the same thing? Pack a bag and leave the family mansion in the middle of the night? Oh, you'd really hate that, wouldn't you, Dad? To lose your little girl just for the sake of the truth.
Yes?
Paige, are you asleep?
Oh, no. No, Nola, come on in. I was just lying here resting, but I can't do that much longer because I'm just too excited.
I heard the wonderful news. Is it really true? Are you really out of danger at last?
Well, I'm sure of it. At last, I am finally sure that nobody is going to try to take my life again. Unless, of course, I make some new enemies. I seem to have a real knack for it.
Well, if it's really true, I'm so very happy for you, my dear. You've no idea how much I suffered with you and worried about you. It's been such a terrifying experience. How wonderful to feel that it's all over and done with.
I feel so free that I think I should have wings. that I could fly over this roof and then swoop down to the garden and pick flowers from midair. I sound like Peter Pan. Do you remember that school play?
Yes, of course. You were absolutely wonderful in it, Paige.
I hated that short haircut. I remember hiding from Brian so that he wouldn't see me with it.
Oh, Brian was absolutely enchanted with you when he saw it. Oh, I remember it as if it were yesterday. He told me what a marvelous actress he thought you were. In fact, I was quite annoyed with my little boy. He'd go to the movies and never say one word about what a good actress his mother might be.
Well, no, he never associated you with that woman on the screen, but I was on stage, in the flesh.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you would have been wonderful in pictures, too, if you hadn't been a little less stubborn about accepting your father's help.
Stubbornness had nothing to do with it. It was just common sense. What would I do in front of a camera? I was much too inexperienced.
Well, there's only one way to get experience, isn't there? And here's one way.
What's this?
It's Mansion of the Damned. Have you read it yet?
No, not really.
Well, I have thoroughly. And every time I read it, I'm absolutely convinced that Patience is you.
Patience?
Uh-huh. Hester Atherton's young cousin, the beautiful, vivacious, charming Patience Revere. The one who steals Hester's fiancé right out from under her nose.
Nola, are you serious about me being in this movie?
Well, just think how much fun it would be, all of us working together. All of us. You, me, your father, Brian.
Brian? I haven't heard Brian say a word. Are you sure he wants to be involved with this project?
He would be, Paige. He'd love to be. And I'm sure the station would be glad to give him a month's leave of absence. If necessary, I could talk to Mrs. Dawn again. I mean, I'm sure there wouldn't be any trouble there. And he'd enjoy it so much. Imagine working as an associate producer or behind the camera.
But he hasn't said a word about it, Nola, not to me.
Well, he said something to me. He said the only thing that would make him really interested in this movie is if you were a part of it.
Brian, the last thing in the world that I want is to be the cause of your leaving home. So just put that idea out of your head.
And why is that, Dad? Because you miss me so much?
Yes, that's part of it. Your mother's health is the other part.
Oh, yes. She's really gotten a whole lot better since I've been home, hasn't she? No more hitting the bottle?
Your mother's drinking problem won't be solved by your presence or your absence, Brian. It's gotten way beyond that.
What do you think would solve it, Dad?
Frankly, I don't know.
How about your presence?
I'm here, aren't I?
Are you? I mean, as far as my mother's concerned. Are you really with her, Dad?
Maybe this movie is the answer. Maybe Eddie's right. All it's going to take is the chance to get back to work.
Maybe.
When I told her that I would produce it, she swore to me that she wouldn't let anything interfere. Particularly that.
You think she meant it?
She always means it when she says it.
Owen!
Darling!
Owen, some wonderful news.
You've got a new investor for the film? Terrific.
Well, it's almost that. I think I've improved the movie's chances.
Yeah?
I talked to Paige, and she is interested in playing
Oh,
Patience.
sorry.
That's a card game, isn't it?
No, silly. It's a part, a very important part in Mansion of the Damned. I wish you'd read it, Brian.
I have read it, Mom.
Well, don't you think she's perfect for it?
Well, yeah, I think she's right for it. The only thing is that this Patience character, she goes through a hell of a lot of nightmarish situations. And considering what Paige has been through,
Oh, come on, Brian. It's just a movie, not real life.
Yes, but don't you think it'd be absolutely marvelous for her? To give her a whole new interest in life, get her mind off politics and revolutions and things like that.
Yeah, I think it'd be terrific.
There's only one thing. Paige won't play the part unless she knows that you're going to be involved, too.
Well, Mom, I really can't make that promise. I have a job, remember? WMON?
Oh, that won't be any problem, I'm sure of it. Oh, Brian, please say you will. It means so much to all of us, especially your sister. But it means so much to me, too, to know that my family, my whole family, was working together.
Well, Mom, I suppose it's really up to Dad. I mean, he is the producer.
It's fine with me, if you're staying.
Staying? What do you mean by that?
Oh, nothing. No, I just meant I was thinking what Brian said about a month ago, that he would just stay until Paige was out of danger.
Are you both sure that she is out of danger? I'm not. And I won't be. Not until this Tobias is finally caught.
So you had no suspicions about this man, Zach Smith, before he came into the restaurant?
No, sir, none at all. As far as I was concerned, he was just another customer. Table for one.
I understand you took the reservation yourself.
That's right.
You don't get many tables for one at the Unicorn, do you?
No, not many, but there's nothing unusual about it.
Was there anything unusual about him when he finally got here?
Well, the only time I noticed there was something strange about the guys when he pulled out that pistol.
That call was from Mr. Guthrie, and he took Miss Madison home and said he'd be back as soon as possible.
Good. I'd like to hear some answers from him, too.
As far as I'm concerned, Chief Marceau, Mr. Guthrie has a lot to be grateful for to my bartender here.
So I understand.
I just did what I had to do, Chief. But I guess if I hadn't, your friend Guthrie would be about as dead as my kid brother is now.
I'm sure that Steve appreciates what you did, Mr. Dowles. But I'm not sure that he couldn't have handled the situation without outside help.
You think so, huh?
Chief, I really think that my friend Mickey deserves a medal for what he did. And considering the damage done to my club, I think maybe I merit some compensation from the city.
Mr. Dorn, suppose you tell me in your own words exactly what happened.
Okay, Chief, I can tell you what I saw. I was standing there talking to a waitress when she saw a man take out a gun. I shouted something like, watch out. And that was when Mickey took a gun from under the bar and opened fire. That's all I can tell you. It just happened so fast.
What about this gun that you keep under the bar?
Oh, I got a permit for it, Chief, if you're worried about that.
Why do you need it?
Oh, you know how it is. I mean, any place that sells liquor gets trouble. People get drunk, they do stupid things sometimes.
And there's always the possibility of a holdup, Chief.
So you keep it for protection, is that right?
That's right. And I'm very glad he does.
Yes, you probably saved an innocent person from being killed.
Oh, I don't want any medals. Just some peace and quiet.
Elliot? Oh, you're all right. Oh, I was so worried about you.
Don't worry. We're just having some target practice at the Unicorn. Everything is okay.
I was afraid something had happened to you.
Are you shaking like a leaf? Excuse us, please. Come into my office. Don't worry.
Mr. Dowles, you won't mind making a formal statement to the police about this business?
What for?
Well, you killed a man. And no matter what the motivation, the killing has to be investigated.
Are you kidding? I just stopped some guy from killing 2 people. One of them a cop.
Ex-cop.
You're worrying far more than necessary, Margot. There was no damage done to the club, just one tiny little bullet hole.
I'm not worried about a club, silly. I was worried about you.
Me? Who would want to shoot me?
Well, it's just I heard about the shooting and all these visions were going through my head. Oh, darling, it would just be so awful if anything happened to you.
Oh, don't worry. The worst thing that's happened is that we're going to get some bad publicity from what happened.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, people are going to begin to think that this is some kind of a gangster hideout and they'll be afraid to eat here for fear they get shot.
Yeah, fortunately, people have short memories, huh?
You know what, darling? Maybe you should close the club up for a few days. I mean, just to let the memories fade.
Close down, but that's just exactly what we shouldn't do. I mean, the damage can be repaired overnight. You know, that may not be such a bad idea after all.
Oh, darling, I think it is a good idea. Give people a couple of days to forget all this.
Yeah, I think a week would be sufficient. You know, we could turn this into a mini vacation.
Oh, I wish I could, but I'm afraid I can't close up the studio for a week, not with the fall season coming.
All we need is a few days together. You know, I was hoping to get in some fishing this summer.
No. Darling, this would be the perfect opportunity.
You mean you could really go?
No, I'm afraid I couldn't go. I'm not the fishing type anyway, but it'd be good for you. Get a few days outdoors.
Yes, that would be the perfect opportunity.
Now, I have to get back to reality. I better call the studio and tell them where I am, what's happening.
I just heard some very interesting news from my husband. He's going on a speaking tour for 5 days. And I'm coming down with a terrible cold. So you better be available, darling, because I'm going through an awful lot of trouble to arrange all this.
Looks like you're almost finished here, Chief.
Yeah, we had the body taken to the morgue. We'll run a check on the victim, but I don't think there's any question but what he's a member of Tobias' gang.
Yeah, well, if Page is right, this is the last of Tobias's gang.
You agree with that?
I've got to. She got her information from the horse's mouth. I mean, at first I thought maybe Tobias was trying to lull her into a false sense of security, but that just wouldn't make sense.
Why not?
Page has a lot of faith in Tobias. Now, if he wanted her dead, he could have done it a long time ago. Besides, he warned her about Zach. A warning that has been justified. Looks like I'm out of a job.
So where do you go from here?
Guess I'll find a new one.
You know, it just so happens that I know where one is available. There's a police department in this town that is short a couple of experienced officers. Think you'd be interested in applying?
No thanks, Chief. Even if Page's problems are over, mine aren't. I'm still the guy who shot a 14-year-old kid who was carrying a toy gun.
I tell you something, Steve. It seems to me that you got more action as a bodyguard than you ever did while you were on the police force. That has to be a very rough kind of business.
Well, not if you have a client like Paige Madison. Well, she's home free.
Good.
She's a sweet kid.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, there still is one more thing I have to do. I'll take that gun now, Downs.
What, my gun?
That's right.
What for?
You'll get it back within 24 hours. Whenever a gun has been used in the commission of a crime, it has to be appropriated by the police.
I didn't commit any crime. The other guy did.
I'm aware of that. I still need the gun.
Sure hate to be without this, but here you go.
It's a 32, isn't it?
I don't know nothing about guns.
Can I have a look at it, Chief?
Sure.
Hey, what is this? You're not a cop anymore, Guthrie.
You don't mind, do you, Mickey?
Something wrong with it, Mr. Guthrie?
No, nothing's wrong. Just something very, very familiar about it.